We are always on the lookout for unique stamps and wonderful new surfaces, and we found two.
We have Art Gone Wild stamps from Catherine Scanlon and a binder from Maya Road.
And wait till you see what the designers have done. And by the way, these are great gift ideas. Come play with us. Here are the four Art Gone Wild stamps designed by Catherine Scanlon, as you talked about.
Right. Here is Nature Grid, Makes You Happy, Your Friendship, and Follow Your Heart.
We're going to focus on these two, but I just wanted you to know that there actually are four.
And they are beautiful, these two.
Well, and yes, and look, what I think is so unique is it looks very kind of botanical and illustrative, just really unique.
And just unique shapes. I mean, you can see right away that once you stamp these, you can leave it like it is, or you can cut it apart.
Don't tell them that. Yeah, we're going to show it to them in a minute. Okay, so they are cling rubber. Now, this one is one whole piece, and you can see it kind of has wiggly edges, but deeply etched. The other one has a verse on it. Your friendship is a special gift, generously given, happily accepted, and deeply appreciated. Very nice. Nice to see the color combination, which of course our ladies did not use.
And kept close, I think.
And this one too is a complete one piece. So let's start with this one, the Follow Your Heart.
Well, this is great. It's got like a sketchbook design to it.
Yeah, and it kind of feels kind of Zentangle-ish to me too. So also, I want to give fair play to the binder. Now, years ago, Hot Off the Press had a couple of binders, and we've been out for years. So I was delighted when the folks at Maya Road showed me this. So this is a book weight chipboard and wraps around, and then there are chipboard pages inside.
It's a heavy-duty little binder. It's very nice and great for a sketchbook or a small photo journal.
Right, and if you decide to paint this with acrylics or things like that, it's not going to warp. So that's nice. Okay, so let's start with our very first one, and wow, here it is.
That's what I was thinking.
So a couple of different things going on. First, covering the binder. Now, when you do a binder like this, and let me bring the naked one back, you don't want to wrap paper around the spine.
Right, because it's going to buckle when you open it. I mean,
it will.
If you take a lot of time and really glue it on there, eventually it's probably going to buckle anyway. So it's a good idea to use ink, and we generally use StazOn ink or Surfaces ink.
Yeah, or you can use acrylic paints, and what's been done here is covering the front and the back with that very fun dot and leaving the spine inked.
Right.
So
that fun dot comes from Susan's Simply Susan paper pad.
And look at what's been done with the coloring.
So this is beautiful. It's been embossed with super fine black embossing powder on white cardstock, and then it was colored in with Spectrum Noirs, and these pens come from the Bright set.
Right, so this is that 24 set, and these are the new pens, of course, with that hexagon barrel and the airtight caps, so that's nice.
And they work great.
Yes, they do. In fact, it's a favorite around here.
So in what you see in here is a lot of blending. You know, it's just a lot of fun to sit down and work on this with some of the pens. I want to show you a little bit about the blending, especially what you see in here.
Okay, good.
So I've got the image that I went ahead and stamped on cardstock, and I started coloring, I embossed it. I stamped with Versamark, embossed with the embossing powder, and then I started coloring in. And what I colored in first, if you can see kind of close, is the green. And I used 2 shades of green in there, you can see.
Yes, I do.
I add a little bit for highlighting, and then you can either use both the pen colors to blend them in, or you can use a blender pen. With the blue, I started with dark on the bottom, and then you put the light on the other side. I'm just going to show you one part of how that works.
You're using the narrow tip. I can see why.
I'm using the narrow tip, right, because you have to get in between. And it's nice because the embossed areas sort of, your pen will kind of stop on them if you're kind of careful. So when you get up to it, it looks like that. I'll do here. It doesn't look very much different at the moment.
I was just thinking that, actually.
And you see this sort of a sharp line there.
Yeah.
But there's a little trick that you can do. Okay, I've got over here, I've got an acrylic block, and I'm going to take the darker pen color, and I'm going to draw a little bit on the acrylic block like that. Then I'm going to take my lighter pen color, I'm going to turn this sideways, that'll be easy. My lighter pen color, which I just drew on here right up to the dark part, and I'm going to pick up that color with this pen. Just like that, go across and sort of pick up the colors. And it's just a good way to fade. Once you start coloring on the dark and move into the light, it makes it fade kind of nicely. So that you don't have that sharp line as much. And if you want it any lighter than that, you can grab your blender pen and start pulling it out more so that it's lighter. And that's how Amy says she achieved, I kind of got into the embossing, how she achieved that fading look. So practice with that, play with it a little bit, and see what you can get with it.
Well, going back to the original, so you could just color them like this has been done. So every row has been colored a different color to give you that rainbow. Much of this has been just one color. But if you want to do the blending, I can see how she's done it over here on the yellow.
There's lots of
Follow your
opportunities
heart.
for it.
Right, very pretty. One other thing on here is the paper twine. And we've shown this before, but I thought this was a very clever way of using it, and so she's unrolled it and just glued it at the back of her her front, and then brought it up here and has done 2 knots.
Isn't that neat? I love paper twine. It's fun to work with, and it's pretty simple to work with too. So you take one end, whatever you feel is most kind of loose. This is kind of a looser end. You just pull it apart like that. Very simple to do.
And you simply unroll it,
And you simply unroll it. You can unroll it. I kind of set it down once I get it going and put my finger on it, and it helps to move it along like that.
And I think it's nice because you can make it into flowers, you can use it as a ribbon, and simply knot it, you can cut it into pieces.
You can color this.
Yeah.
I like to put distress inks on it. It makes a really nice look. I'll just swipe the ink pad right across there.
So nice little extra
fun
one.
to use.
Well, our first binder, we showed the entire stamp, but now we've done another one, I think Amy did this, where she just did pieces of it.
Right.
And
so she stamped it first, and then cut out the pieces that she wanted to use for accents.
And the Follow Your Heart, that is one of the pieces on there. It's the only one with words. And this time she has used...
a couple. There's love right there.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
There's 3. Follow Your Heart, love, and life. 3 things on that one stamp.
I stand corrected.
I know,
there are
'cause
3. And so these have been cut out and inked and colored, and it looks like there's some glitter going on there.
Right. So that's stickles, I believe. That's a couple of different kinds of stickles. This one was surrounded here. First it was Spectrum Noir pens were used, and then stickles to accent. But that's just a neat way of using that stamp. You don't have to use the whole thing and let it sort of overwhelm you. Just use little pieces of it.
And this is on Painted Flowers paper, and again, more of the twine. Now this has been braided, and this has been left unraveled.
Right, and then you've got the teal jewel border dazzles. Beautiful.
Right on top. So again, and doing some inking on the spine just to take care of that. Now, we've shown you 2 very colorful interpretations, but now we have one that is a little different.
And it's not a binder.
And it's not a binder. This is a card, as you can see, but I love the look.
I do too. This is on the Stolen Moments paper pack, so it's naturally going to be a very muted look. And Susan felt she had to do a little extra to sort of make it pop a little bit, and she did some really cool things with it.
She did. Now, first you can see, I'm just close up on this particular one because you really showed it on the very first binder. So this was first sprayed with the Glimmer Mist.
Right. I've got a piece here that I can show you. This is on card. Oh no, it's actually on the paper. So this is on the Stolen Moments paper.
Okay.
She sprayed it with 2 different Glimmer Mists.
Okay.
The names of them, Dragonfly and Gold.
Okay. So again, just, you know what the Glimmer Mists are. You just simply shake them up thoroughly and then spritz them.
So just a light misting. And then she stamped it with Memento espresso truffle. That's like a
Oh, it's a
brown
brown.
ink. Yeah, so
Okay.
she stamped it in brown. And then she started working in with smooch inks.
Right. So she's used the gold and then whatever this
Copper.
color is. Oh, it's copper?
Copper. I'm
Spruce?
sorry, copper and spruce.
Spruce and copper, okay.
Right. And I wanted to show you just real quickly that
Okay.
it's really simple. It's kind of, some of it is done down here, but I'll just show you a little bit. Right here. You can just, and smooch is so nice to use because it's got that nice fine point, so it's just perfectly made.
It also goes a long way.
It
And that's
does.
true of so many of the coloring agents.
We rarely have to go back and get another bottle, even in our department with all of us working on it. To get
Sorry,
another
smooch
one.
people, but
So it's just simple. You just go over like that.
Okay.
After you use smooch on whatever areas you want to use, and like for instance here, I used some of both colors and went around the edgings. You let it dry a little bit, and then you get out. I've got an acrylic block just for a surface to work with. You put a little bit of crystal lacquer on something.
now we've not done this before, so this is interesting.
No, I know, we haven't done this on it. This is one of Susan's creations. Put a little bit, oh gosh.
Or a
there's
lot. Okay,
Surprise.
on camera.
And just paint it on to those smooch
it
areas.
Whoops,
Just
we have to
little
scoot
bit.
over a little
Whoops,
bit.
I do.
There you go.
So I've got the acrylic lacquer on my brush, and then I start brushing on those areas. You know, with this, it's okay to go a little bit over the lines. It's not going to matter a whole lot. But she just spent a little bit of time in painting over some of the areas right on top of the smooch. Now you're thinking, why are you doing that?
I am
Because
thinking
it's
that.
clear, and you can already see, well, because of what I'm going to do next. You get out your micro glitter, which we've seen on a recent webisode.
Yes, we did.
Nearly.
I thought we did all things micro glitter, but evidently not.
So, and then you sprinkle it, come on, then you sprinkle it right onto, if I can get it to come out. I don't know.
There it is. Come on, micro glitter.
And sprinkle it onto that smooch and tap it off. Let that dry a bit. You can see the effect.
Oh, so it's giving so because it's translucent, it's really picking up the smooch itself
Right, the
as
color of the
well
smooch.
as that glitter.
Once the crystal lacquer dries, it'll be much more clear, and you'll see the color a lot like on the
Right.
card.
So let me bring this back, and you can see as I wiggle this, that shiny. Now, I would have thought that would have been the smooch, but it is brighter here.
Right, because of the
oh.
glitter.
So you can see it here on that leaf. Now, black jewel dazzles were also added along the veins. And I have to say, I love that combination of the green, spruce I think it was, and copper.
Yeah, isn't
it's
that nice?
just
Did you already
stunning.
mention? I didn't know the thin lines
I did
dazzles,
not.
the brown. It's kind of, they're hard to see, but they leave this great little edging on there. It's just beautiful.
And that's going all the way. And notice that there are two different ones. So it's the same one on each side and the same one on the top and the bottom. So it just adds a defining. It's almost like inking it, but you get this beautiful, clean, decorative edge. So gorgeous. And look how pretty this all laying on a ribbon.
It's just
and
a cute little look. I mean, there's like
Lovely.
a line, and so here's your line. It's almost like artwork on a wall.
And then inside, she's got follow your heart, which is one of the 3 words on it, and then more with those elements. So beautiful. So using them all together or in separate pieces, which kind of just means you've got more stamps almost for your buck.
That's right.
So that's nice to know. Now, our second stamp set is the Your Friendship. Right, and that's the one that we talked about. So you can see this really pretty combination.
More of those botanical elements used in
Yeah.
different ways, and interesting little original artwork that goes along with it.
Very nice. Now here is how it has been used on a binder. And look at this. What a beautiful look. So taking the whole, so here's the whole stamp. And then actually, so you can see kind of this top part, that's where it was stamped. And then 2 other areas were stamped again.
Right.
And
Now, Lene was a little worried that this wouldn't show up enough, but
I think it's
not everything
beautiful.
has to have glitter on it.
believe it or not, folks.
And I think it's a beautiful look. And what I really love about this is that she stamped and embossed that right onto the cover.
Right. This is
That's
flat.
not a separate piece of paper. That's just right on the
So the
binder.
craft color is really well used, and so here she just did a little swirl, but all of the other areas are colored in. And this was also heat embossed.
Right. Heat embossed first and then gelatos, and I can show you just a little bit of how that was done.
Good.
I've got a piece of craft paper, which is basically the same effect as that binder. So it's the same sort of a surface.
And the gelatos, just in case you're not aware of them, they come in a package. I think there are, maybe 6 or 8 of them.
Something like that. Yeah, reds, greens, yellows, you know.
And they do come with a paintbrush. They come with a stamp, too, just to show that you can use them with stamping.
They're a lot of fun to work with. They look like a little lipstick, but don't put it on your lips.
Please.
And it is a little bit, the consistency is a little bit like a craypaw, if you know what that is.
It's kind of waxy, isn't it?
Yeah, waxy.
Yeah.
And so what Lene did is, while you can't control it a lot on really detailed places, you can add it in certain places. Like I went in with the red already and did these little areas. And I'm going to add just a little of the pink around it. And I don't have to fill in every single area, because I'm going to go in with a paintbrush and spread it around a little bit afterwards. So I'm just going to use the edge of it and sort of get it all over, at least within the area.
Okay. So you can see that it's not perfectly colored in.
Right.
So, okay.
Then I've got a wet, I'm just getting a wet brush over here, a wet paintbrush, and I start scooting it around.
It's funny stuff because it's activated by water. It's also activated by your fingers rubbing it, or by a baby wipe.
Baby wipe. That's like one of my, a little more water. One of my favorite tricks is to put rows of these in colors together and then just swipe across with a baby wipe, and it blends them all together just perfectly.
That blends easily.
It does.
Very easily.
It's like painting right on there. You can also take one of the gelatos and put it on your craft sheet like that, and get your with a wet paintbrush pick up the color like that.
So with just 2 sets of the gelatos, Lene did all of the coloring in. I also love the treatment that she did. Now, we talked about not having paper to cover your whole spine, but Lene decided, well, what about part of the spine? And you know, this is working pretty well.
It does. Just a little bit around the edge, and that's from the Rosemary and Thyme paper pack.
Right.
They're 6x6 papers, so you can't use them on huge surfaces unless you put them together.
Yeah.
And so that was, and she journaled on that too. I like that, the sketchbook journaling.
Beautiful. Now, she decided to do a couple of inner pages. So she did cover, again, just the 6-inch area of the inside front, and same thing on the inside back. But she's taken some of the separate stamps or cut them apart like so. And I think this is the only one that she did. Yeah. So it just is really nice, and done some stamping there or some journaling.
So that's another great gift idea for somebody who likes to make sketches or do journaling.
Or keep track of what you have or ideas.
Sure.
And here is another one. Now this is a card, but look at the shimmer that we're getting here. And as I wiggle it, you can see.
And you get that from purple stickles or grape stickle. No, it's purple. Purple stickles.
And here it is. So after you've colored in your piece, you can go back and do some stickles. Now, stickles will stay raised if you choose that, or you can flatten them out.
Right, and you can just use the tip of the bottle to do that. You can use your finger as well, but it's easy to use the bottle. It just kind of scoots it around. The colors that you're seeing behind it are from the watercolor pencil sets. And we have a lot of different sets to choose from that come with a spectrum of colors. They're so much fun to use.
There are actually, I think it's 5 different sets. Here's the blue set, and it has a variety of colors, as you can kind of see from the ends.
I believe this set was the blues and the green set.
I think you're right.
And so what's neat about the sets is that in the blues you get a little bit of a crossover. You get a little bit of purple in there too. And in the greens, you get a little bit blue, so, you know, you can make some interesting things.
You're getting a nice
spectrum.
The other thing that she did is that this area, although it's on the one stamp, this was cut out and lifted with foam tape. So it just gives a little bit of dimension to this.
So she did some paper piecing in the back with the Simply Susan paper pack. Then she stamped the whole stamp separately on cardstock and cut it out and set it on here. And I'd kind of like to show you what some of the techniques were that she used on there.
Bring it in.
And I did something already with this piece. I went ahead and stamped it with Stays On Black. And then if you look kind of close, you can see this spotty effect here. And I'll show you how we did that. We're going to need one of the pencils, which I'm going to use this dark purple one. And we're going to need a little water. So I'm going to get water. Oh, I'm just put some water there.
Now you're using that spritzer to give you controlled water?
Yeah, instead of a cup or whatever.
Yeah.
You could just use a cup of water. It's just kind of easy for me. So I'm going to actually get the pencil pretty wet and get some color out of it right there with the brush and the pencil together. Then I'm going to, I don't want too much water in there. Then I'm going to take the pencil, put it over my work, and spatter it like that.
Okay, you're getting very fine spattering.
Very fine
doing it that way.
spattering. And that's how the rest of that on there that you see was done.
Okay.
So she spattered it first, and then she went in with her pencil and started coloring in. And my favorite technique of doing this is going ahead and coloring it. Oh, it's a little bit wet, so that works too. No, I've done it that way. You can either get your pencil wet and color it in this way, or you can color it in dry. Here, I'll use the other side. Color it in dry, like so. And come back with the paintbrush to smooth all the work out.
So kind of like what you did with the gelatos.
Very, very similar, and even though they're so different.
Yeah.
It's funny. The one is quite waxy.
Well, and they have other applications too that
that's how
make
that's
them
done.
unique. Very nice. I think the watercolor pencils have become a favorite of the design team. So there is, again, that it's funny that we use the Simply Susan in two very different looks. Now, scrapbookers, you have not been forgotten. Remember, we have a new commitment to you that we are always showing a scrapbook page. And look at this. Now, you did this, right, Gail?
I did.
And you said that you loved all of the little intricacy that was done, but on all of the stamping, but with the idea of doing a scrapbook page, you were just not going to put that kind of time into it.
The idea of stamping that huge, intricate stamp several times and having to color in that much as you would need for a scrapbook page.
Right.
It just, to me, was a little daunting. I can do it, but I wanted
3 days later.
I wanted to make something that was a little easier.
Yeah.
So this is a technique where I went ahead and stamped an image, and then I just sponged over with several different distress inks, and I can show you how I did that as well.
This is just amazing. I love it. I love also the fact that you were able to personalize it without committing 3 days to it.
Right,
And,
right. Doesn't take that long. And kind of the neat thing is the journaling is really on the stamp. The only thing I added was a name and a date.
That's how you knew all those words were there. But just wonderful. So, well, why don't you show us how to do it, and then we'll come back and go in deeply into the page.
Look at it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I've got...
I love your color combination.
Oh yeah, that was just, well, that's because of the grapefruit paper pack just lends to that, and these distress inks, which are so bright.
Something I want to say about this color combination, I tend to go jewel tones. I wear jewel tones, I like jewel tones, purples, reds, deep colors, but I think it's really good for us to get out of our comfort zone, and I think the pink, orange, and yellow is just a really fun combination.
I agree. I think I generally wear earth tones, and yet I like to make things bright in my work. So the distress inks are really great because they're super bright and really easy to work with. You can get a lot of ink on something. And
plus they came out with new ones.
Right. So here's the stamp. I went ahead and stamped it with Stays On, black Stays On. And then I'm just going to pop, the last one I haven't used here. I've gone ahead and done a little bit of, just in random areas around with the squeezed lemonade and the picked raspberry. And I use this great stylus. It's so easy to work with. And I pop off one and pop off another one that I've been using. It's real easy. Pick up some of the ink. And kind of one of the tricks you want to remember about doing this is if you start off the edge and then move onto your paper, you're less likely to get lines. You'll get a nice blended look.
I think the other thing about doing that is to have a little patience, so that I noticed that you did stroking a couple of times before the orange was really showing up. Right. So you need to give that just a moment or two.
Sure.
Very
and you can
nice.
add, you want to make it darker, you can do that. Now if I'm going to go in the middle, I'm not going to put it right back on that ink pad because it'll be really heavy with ink. I'm going to sort of use it this way and just lightly start and then really sort of work it in.
Yeah.
So that's how you get
Wow.
the different areas to
Wow.
look. Okay, once you're done with that, there is one more thing that I did. You wait until it's dry. I'm not going to right at the moment. Just give it a minute or two to totally dry.
Patience.
And then you take a little water, put it in your hand.
In your hand.
And splatter it on like that.
Oh.
And then you're not going to see it right on here, but when it dries, it leaves these little drip marks, and you can see that on the scrapbook page. You'll see that.
Let's go back. Up where we left
If you look up
off.
close, you can see
Right
see
into
the little drip marks.
Okay, I do see.
I don't know how to describe that look. A watercolor look.
It's almost like a little halo gets done,
Yeah.
where it becomes lighter. So we've got Follow Your Heart, and I love how this is backing the baby. It's smart to have black and white photos, and then going right around. Now you've also done some matting on, is this the silver linen?
This is silver linen,
Okay.
and I matted the photos on black suede.
Oh, okay.
And I used two different stamps here. I used this, so you can see this one is
Oh.
from the Your Friendship stamp.
You combined them.
I combined them. And then this one and the one up above is from the other one.
Right, Follow Your Heart. Oh,
Follow Your Heart.
excellent.
So you can mix and match. I cut pieces off up here on the corner. I cut pieces of the stamp off and just used parts of them, part of one, part of another. And then the other thing I did is when you stamp for this page, stamp several images, boom, 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 boom. Make all of your beautiful color work on all the stamps, start cutting them apart, and cut apart pieces and layer them like paper towel.
In fact, let's get a side view of this, because there you can see, okay, so you stamped once and then a second time and cut this out.
And foam taped it on top.
Right.
And I did that not for the whole thing, but just on certain.
So
here's
love.
one, yeah, love, and some of the words.
And this feather is lifted.
What I found that when I created each one of these pieces, like when I'm creating a piece like this, I'd find that some of them I liked a little bit better than others. So the one that I didn't like quite as much, I made that the background, and then I cut out some pieces that were a lot brighter, more vivid, and placed them on top.
Now, did you ink around the edges of some, or am I just envisioning?
No,
okay.
not at all.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay, so you have the opportunity to do all kinds of techniques, all kinds of materials, and all kinds of different looks, whether you choose to do the binder or scrapbook page
or cards. You can make gift tags with just little parts of these.
And so Maya Road and Catherine Scanlon, we're in love with your stuff, and we're going to make some Christmas presents.